So welcome everybody to the Espresso Mastery Session, and I'm here with something very exciting. A lot of questions have been asked about REO and short sales and things of that nature. So Sandy's been on with us before, but I don't think you knew that Sandy Williams was a REO expert. And she came from Indianapolis. She's got 20 years of experience, but this is the lady that has the answers to what's happening with REO. So Sandy, welcome. Appreciate you coming on board.
Thanks, Bill.
So tell us a little bit about your background from Indianapolis, because you were a city planner and all this whole thing with REO. And then I want to talk about what's happening now, what you think are some of the things we have to be looking at. But tell us about your background in that whole city planning issue that you were in Indianapolis.
All right. So I started off in Indianapolis. I have a master's degree in urban planning, and I was a city planner for the city of Indianapolis. And I worked for the city for several years and got my real estate license. And one day Fannie Mae came knocking on my door. I had applied to be an REO agent in Indianapolis, and they were my very first client. And I began probably about 5 years. REO ended up being specially selected as one of the 10 agents in the United States for Fannie Mae's REO board. And so I was hand selected, and I worked directly with the director of REO for Fannie Mae and flew down to their headquarters twice a year for like a think tank. And we set the precedent on how Fannie Mae ran REOs. And when Indianapolis market started bouncing back, as in the United States, that's when we saw the huge downturn in the real estate market. So I moved to Miami and I ran bank foreclosures for all the big lending institutions in Miami for 12 years.
About how many properties do you think total you've been involved with over the years?
I would say roughly about 2,000.
2,000. Okay, so that brings in some credibility to what we're talking about today, I would think.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about what you went through in doing this, and explain the challenges, and then also how do you set something up like this? Because all of a sudden you're an agent, and first of all, Fannie Mae knocks on your door and says, "Come to our world." How do you start that?
Wow.
How does that all happen?
Well, I've ran REO in 2 different markets. So I've experienced from setting it up. And night and day. When you say you're no longer in Kansas anymore, when you're down in the 305, it is a whole different ball game. So setting it up is basically about having a system, just like any real estate, except that this time it's a little bit more sophisticated because my very first year I ran both teams. So I ran Indiana and Miami and closed about 500 REO properties in 1 year.
It's amazing. And so it's all system oriented. So were you in real estate doing residential prior to that on your own?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was like, the world opens up to a whole different situation. And what was like the first thing you knew that this was something you had to do different with? I mean, what system did you have to put in place first?
Well, it's like, so first of all, when REO comes in, it doesn't trickle in. REO comes in at like 15 assignments in 1 day, because most states have what we call, it depends on where you are. For example, Texas Tuesday means every REO is sold on Tuesday, period. And so you may get 20 properties dumped in your lap, and there's an entire system and a time frame that's attached to your performance. So when you're dumped 20 properties, you've got to get in them, you've got to price them, and you have to get them cleaned out and ready to go. And I needed to be in that house as soon as that assignment, and that's just one bank. So could you imagine running 10? So in any one time, I might have 30 properties come in, and it doesn't matter, Bill, if it's Christmas Eve. Wow. They don't care. Those assignments, you are held to a standard and a time frame.
So right off the bat, if you're not an organized person, this is not something you want to get yourself involved with, right?
No, organized and Money. You
Yeah.
have to have money, and you better know how to do a broker price opinion. And I mean, like, I could probably get one done in about a half hour.
So, okay, so talking about money, that's excellent because people take too long on regular CMAs to begin with. But let's talk about money because, and I want to talk about this market today. Let's just go back for a second. Why is this market not the same? Because you made some good points when we were talking offline. What's different about this market that you've seen in other markets that you were in? Doing this?
You mean this go around
Yeah,
and
let's
what
go
we're going to
around.
see for REO?
Yeah,
Well, first of all, the banks they had checks and balances in place after. So we knew that the OK corral, as far as what we were doing in terms of lending,
hmm,
isn't here anymore. So that particular got taken care of. I think what this market is going to see differently than the last time is it's not going to be widespread. Not everybody's going to have REO. It's going to be in hotspots,
got it.
basically.
Right. And you said something different because we're talking about short sales and why you don't believe there's going to be as many of those as other things because it's a little bit of a different market. What do you see difference in 2008 to now as far as the
Um,
condition of the properties?
well, conditions are good. And if you bought, so we know that we had a market that was doing really well, right? I mean, before we were right where we are, we were
Right.
going gangbusters. So most lenders had tools in place for money down. And also, we saw an appreciation every single month. So what happened last time isn't going to happen this time, just for the very nature that we had a really strong market and the lenders had safety precautions in place. Where I really see is if you did a USDA loan, you did an FHA loan, or you did a VA and you wrapped that funding fee up, you were already in negative equity position on, especially a VA with that funding fee. In Florida,
Right.
you were in a negative equity position the day you closed on your house.
Right. Right. And now you don't see that here now as
Not
much,
as
right?
much. Just I've seen it in the VAs in the last 6 months here.
Wow. Interesting.
That's what I'm seeing.
What are the signals or what are the evidences that we have right now that that is coming back in some markets? What are some of the things that you're looking for in markets to say, no, this is one of the markets?
I personally, I think if we go back to history and we look at what failed first, okay, so look at the areas that use the instruments of FHA and VA and USDA first.
Hmm.
And there's several reasons why, right? Because uh, those are going to be tied to the people that lost their jobs. I mean, so for example, let's say I'm in the eighth hottest hospitality market in the United States. So if my server or person that worked in one of the hotels, what kind of loan did they get? Did they get a conventional loan? Did they put 20% down? Or did they, I am in a huge USDA market.
Right.
So you literally can buy a house here with no money down. So if you bought and no money down in the hospitality industry, you might be losing your house
Right. Yeah.
or
Because
selling it short.
selling is short. Yeah. So markets that have that type of employment is going to be a spot that we're going to now. There are agents that could probably dabble in it and do semi well. I mean, what makes a good agent profile to be even attempting to do something like this and get involved with the REO business?
Okay, you have to have cash.
Okay. Cash.
It's amazing because you have to turn so every single bank bill is different. So I've held uh if we can just throw out names, Wells Fargo, Chase,
Right.
Fannie Mae, some big credit unions, secondary markets. So everybody is different in terms of, are you turning on the utilities? Are you paying off the water bills? Because remember, water is a lien and those liens are attached and you're paying them. A lot of times the agent is at the institution doing the foreclosure is asking the agent to put the money out. So you really need to have at least, I mean, at any one time, I had probably 20 grand of my own money out.
Right. So talk about difficult sellers. You're dealing with institutions. You're dealing with corporate entities that want things in a certain way, and then they're all different
Yes.
in what they want.
Every bank, every REO, because you not only have the REOs direct, but then you have remember we had the collaboration of asset management companies that collectively went in and took took foreclosures or those assets from all bunch of entities. So every single, even Fannie Mae they serviced some of HUD's reverse mortgages. So I even did reverse mortgage and foreclosures, and those are a whole different beast. So everybody has a client and everybody wants something different.
That was a fascinating thing I remember I was talking about the reverse mortgages. I don't think anybody even knows that is something that can be foreclosed on. I mean,
Absolutely.
You don't think about it. What makes, and we'll go back, but this is fascinating to me, the reverse mortgages, how does that become a foreclosure, do you think?
Well, so here's, in a nutshell, here's a reverse mortgage. I own a house and I want money. And let's say I only owe, because it's for older people, there's a demographic for it, there's a category for it. So maybe I'm sitting on 90% equity. So it's an FHA mortgage. And instead of, it just works in reverse. So if I was paying my mortgage, now every month I get money.
Right.
The longer I have that particular mortgage, the more money I owe, right? Because I'm going to owe it with interest. It's just backwards.
Right.
So when there is only one way to foreclose, well, several, but let's just look at the big one.
Right.
You die.
Yeah.
So you die. So let's say my mom had a reverse mortgage and she passed away. If she's in a negative equity position, or maybe it's to the point where, because from what I've seen, because this is my market that I serve
Right.
the older demographic market.
Right.
They maintain their homes, but they don't update them. So what if the whole house needed a rehab? It's to the point where the kids may walk away and say, you know what, I don't, to make $6,000 and have to rehab it, it's not worth it. Just give it back to the bank.
Right. So that's a phenomenon that started happening about a year ago more, I think, than ever before. So now we're in this position where, agents are thinking, do I need to start to diversify what I'm doing with my business and get into it? So to get into the REO business, and even to think about it, because you really didn't do residential as much. I mean, that's something you had to concentrate on. I mean, so how much of your time do you think you need to be putting into that business to really make that work? Because it's not something you dabble in. You
No,
put some time into this thing.
You're in it 99.9%, because what's going to happen is that you're going to get onto a major bank, and then you're going to get another major bank, and you're going to get another bank, and then you may get some local small lending institution. So at one time, I mean, at any time when I was running REO, I would have probably 200 properties to 300 properties somewhere in process.
So, I think we're thinking about it. People are thinking about jumping in. So now you're looking to get in it. So I'm an agent that wants to get in it because I have the cash. I may have a team that could help me do that. So who am I calling to try to get that business? Who am I talking to?
Well, first of all, you're not going to talk to anybody because everything is done electronically now. And like, for example, my contract with Fannie Mae, and remember, my sister and I ran REO together.
Right.
So she even carried Fannie Mae. So at one point, but what I'm saying is that you almost have to audition now for the business, which means that your first your very first step should be knowing how to do a broker price opinion.
Hmm.
And believe it or not, I got one of my biggest clients who paid me, they were jumbo loans all the way. I mean, I would sell $1 million properties, and and a lot of times, as you know, I would sell them myself. So that transaction was worth over $2 million
Yeah.
in sales. That came from BPOs. That client actually came, and that client called
Hmm.
me and said, "Who did that BPO?" They called me, and I said, "I did it." You're hired.
So
That was,
you basically did a great BPO, came in at a good price. So because they want, what do the banks want? They want this thing to get off their books as quickly as possible, right?
Uh, no,
No?
believe it or
Okay.
not. There is, so this is the finesse of a BPO, Bill, because this is what people don't understand. It's like saying, "Oh yeah, I'm really good at giving value." Oh no, this is truly a science and a finesse. If you sell it within the first 5 days, you've underpriced it. So you get
Ah,
dinged. If you take longer than 45 days to sell it, you've overpriced it. So you are graded, every single lending institution that gives you business, you are graded on a scorecard. And that scorecard, one of the biggest grades is how did you price it? What was your list price to sale price ratio? Plus health, safety, presentation, marketing. I mean, it is going up like a normal seller, but with a lot more strings attached.
it's amazing. And what if you go over 45 days, what happens?
Oh, well, you might get a B or a C. So
Yeah.
what's wrong with you? You might even lose the asset. So you can work a property for 50 days and the asset manager's like, "You know what? I'm moving it." And all that work you did, you got no money out of.
So the old days of working the asset managers, and we don't want to get into
It's
that story,
gone.
but that's gone.
It's gone,
It's gone. No
unfortunately.
longer schmoozing the asset manager. This is all electronic, no motion, no feeling. You're getting scored. And it's like the worst nightmare of a bad listing on the residential side, because you know you could lose a whole lot of money if you start getting graded B minus, C minus, and all that kind of good stuff, right?
Exactly. And it's all, I mean, I am so grateful. I was trained by one of the best property evaluation people in all of Fannie Mae. And I think it was just between that, and I had the vice president of Fannie Mae REO division who took me under her wing at the time.
Wow.
She's retired, but I got the best teaching. I mean, I don't know how many people actually got their hand held and said, "Come here, I'm going to show you how to price a property. I am going to take you under my wing, and I am going to teach you REO in one of the best, largest secondary markets in the whole world." And I got that training.
Wow. That was a nice
Ah,
nice learning experience.
it
And
was
you
a
know that
gift.
that helped you tremendously in your residential
Oh,
side now. I mean, you're
yeah.
like nailing it.
Absolutely. I mean, I can go in if I'm up against you in a listing presentation and I whip out a BPO and I know that you're an engineer, an accountant or whatever, you're
It's
I
over.
got it. It's
It's
over.
over.
It's over.
So, okay, so when you were in this business, so I think what we're learning here, first of all, is that this is not, I just got to call a bank and get some business. I mean, this is a whole nother way of approaching it now because of what happened in the past. So now there
Yep.
it's all electronic. Now, could you actually go to an asset manager at a small community bank, or is that still, you know, not a place to find leads?
Maybe. I would start with my local, and especially if you bank there. I mean, Bill, at the height, I had accounts in every major bank because they would even check to see if you banked with them. So I had banks, I had a checking account at
Got
Wells Fargo,
a lot of
I had a
accounts.
private, I had money everywhere. And because they're running credit reports too. So they're running background checks, they're running credit reports. They want to make sure that, you know, if you've got bad credit, they're not going to hire you because you're dealing with a lot of money.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a, you know, are you being bribed? What's going on? So it's really, really changed.
Wow. That's
And it's
yeah.
all Bill, honestly, it's all about being prepared. And I can't begin to tell you what it's like to audition just like this and a portfolio, and they even go into your brokerage firm.
Wow. That's incredible. So guys, if you have any questions for Sandy, as we're talking about here, we should post them up here so we get some questions answered for you. So, so now we're in a situation where somebody may be able to get in that business. You got to have cash. You better have your systems down. You're going to learn how to do a great BPO. At one time, they were paying people for the BPOs. Were you getting paid for the BPOs?
I never did those because by that time, Bill, I was so,
You were swamped, and you were doing a
yeah,
lot.
I'm swamped. I made a lot of money. So I didn't have time to make a BPO for 75 bucks.
Yeah, yeah. So some of the smaller banks are doing this. So tell me the difference between the REO and the short sale business.
I like them both. And I've dealt with some of the worst short sale entities, and man, I've got them pushed, and I've even gotten my clients like $10,000 on a short sale to get them out. Um, so once again, it all boils down to how good you do that BPO, how you plead your case, how you package that hardship, you know, how you tell that story. It's all about organizing that particular seller and you being there, even though you're not required to fill out the forms, but you better be there in order to have that package ready to go. And you're basically selling to that servicing lender why this particular seller deserves a short sale. And if you're lucky, I mean, and if you stage it well, I literally, the last short sale I did, I got my client $10,000 to move out of the property on top of the short sale.
That's
So he
amazing.
got
That's
a 10
great.
grand, he got 10 grand out of it. And
So
one of the worst short sale companies, and I mean, they're notoriously bad, and they cut them 10 grand.
so it appears to me that the short sale, for anybody who's doing a lot of residential, the only thing that you could really jump into right now is going to be the short sale business. And so the short sales, we used to pass them on to attorneys to do and all that stuff. Tell me why we should keep them and what we've got to be aware of to do a good job with it and get it done. Because you always took a short sale and you went, oh my gosh, I hope this thing closes and we're taking a chance. But you actually got really good at packaging up and putting them into the system and getting them done. So let's go over some points that agents need to know about doing a good short sale. Let's go over
Well,
some of those.
and first, before I say it, Bill, I've never had a short sale that's lasted more than 60 days. I've always closed them. Yeah. Yeah. I've
60 days,
always
come on.
60 days.
We
The
got to know the
last one
secret
I
here.
did, we literally closed on contract time on the purchase agreement.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So it's like what you teach. What did you ask the right questions? I
Yeah.
mean, because that's what it all boils down to on a short sale is, did you ask the right questions from the seller to begin with? Because if you don't know the right questions to ask, I don't care how good you are. So what you need to know is, how far along are you in the process of when's the last time you paid your mortgage? Because as a REO agent, I already know, because believe me, I've gotten enough assignments where they were short sales to begin with, and it was like, why did you even take that short sale? So short sales, there's only a small window of opportunity to actually do a short sale before it's so far gone in the system that there's no way coming back.
Right.
So how long, first question is, how long have you not paid your mortgage? And what kind of documentation have you received from the servicing lender? So remember, servicing lenders are different than who holds the note. Usually, I mean, unless you're talking about like somebody that portfolios their loans like Wells Fargo, most of the time the servicing lenders are different. So what kind of I want to see everything. Now tell me your hardship.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a medical problem? Bill, I will just leave it because I could tell all kinds of war stories, but I even got a guy who was addicted to cocaine, a short sale.
The miracle worker. No, so watch. So you said some important things here, and there's something I think people got to understand is that you can't be afraid to ask the questions. Okay, because or
Always.
you've got to ask the tough questions. I mean, now here's the one big question that I have for you: how much time do you need? Because someone says, well, you know what? They gave me the notice. I mean, if someone says they gave me the date and it's 30 days away from foreclosure, I mean, I think you're wasting your time.
I'd walk away.
Yeah.
What I'm
How
looking
much time do you
for,
need?
what I'm looking for is somebody that's been, and seriously, my last one, he wasn't even late, but he had a major medical condition. So he was not late. So just because, don't tell your client, look, don't pay your mortgage. If you are really sick or you can truly package with documentation, hardship, I mean, it's to the point where I wouldn't tell anybody, because in the old days it'd be like, hey, don't pay your mortgage, they're never going to talk to you. That's not true. In fact, if you're able to keep paying your mortgage, it's not a bad thing if you
Right,
truly can package a hardship.
right. So that it puts you in the better light when you're packaging up the hardship. So a question from someone here was, my question is, where can I get trained and certified to do short sales?
Well, I'm sure there's several out there, and here's the thing, and we all know this, when you start in an area like this where we're kind of iffy on what's going on, don't be so gung-ho to actually sign up for a program and pay for it, because I think that's some of the things that agents do. The biggest mistakes is that you get caught up in the bells and whistles. It's more about and I'm going to be putting together some webinars on, here's when you sit down with the seller, here's the questions you need to ask, here's your next step. Because look, if I always get permission to talk to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's in, I'm like, Mr. Seller, unless they ask for you, let me handle it. And I just go. So we're going to start doing, they'll be really very affordable, because look, I've been an agent for 24 years. I'm not here. I've already made my money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be rich over this.
Right.
But I just don't want the new agents or people that want to do this, I don't want you to get ripped off, because you will get ripped off.
Well, there were a
I would
lot. Remember the
rather,
old days? They were
yeah,
like everybody and their mother was selling short sale programs.
exactly. But I've done short sales, I've done REO. So in the next, give me 2 weeks because we're working on it. So if you send me your email, or even friend me on Facebook, but send me your contact information, because we're going to do programs on how to do broker price opinions, because
Mm-hmm.
this will help you regardless. Even if you don't do REO, I guarantee you, by the time you're done with the BPO, you can go up against any appraiser.
Let's talk about pricing and short sales, because the whole thing is, hey, should we just get rid of it? You sometimes the sellers act like they're going to get on the market and try to compete and stay on the market forever at a price that will not turn over. So tell me your strategy on pricing. Do you think, do you just give it away and get this thing over with and then present the offer to the bank? But there's got to be a margin that we have to stay with.
And
I'm
that's
sure.
the thing. And there you go again about asking the right questions. And what I always ask the short sale, whatever the bank is, the lending institution is, are you going to do a BPO? Because if you are, I want you to, first of all. Don't
Mhm.
tell me, oh, we're going to do a BPO when you get the offer. No, no, no. You're going to go in and you're going to do it now. And I'm going to do one. And I go when I actually meet the agent at the property and I give him my BPO. So I've already done one, and because they're not going to, the loan company is not going to just want to dump the property, because remember, the servicing lender has probably Fannie or Freddie to answer to, and they want to see BPOs. They're going to ask for a BPO from the listing agent, and they're going to ask from a BPO from another entity.
Right.
And so between those two is how they're going to derive the price. But what if you already knew that, because that's what happens, and you did your BPO and you were there to give it to the other agent? If you met him
Beautiful.
there at the
Yeah.
house, it goes a long way. It's like, here's my BPO, and by the way, blah, blah, blah. Do you think they might use your BPO? Do you think they might use the same comps? Absolutely.
Someone says what broker price opinion, right?
Yep, broker
B,
price
B
opinion.
as in boy, P as in Paul, O as in octopus. Broker price
Yes.
opinion. So the short sale. So this market is changing. There's going to be some short sales. You got 22 million people out of a job. Something is going to happen. You got to know your market. You still do your prospecting. You still call your FSBO. You still call your expireds. I think the short sale business, when you're making your prospecting calls, you don't want to lose. So let's just say I'm prospecting and the person says I'm out of a job. So now we're going to go from the phone call. You could call it FSBO or an expired and find that out.
And you definitely will, because
Right?
think about it. Some of those FSBOs may be upside down, and they're, we're going to be with the hanger-oners, meaning that these people are owner occupants. When I saw the waves of foreclosures, Bill, the last people that actually got their homes foreclosed on were the hanger-oners. They were the true owner occupants. They tried to save their credit, right, in their
Right.
home. The investors were the first to bail, the second vacationers, but the hanger-oners were the owner occupants. So yeah, so coming up with a packet and say, gee, I'm really sorry to hear that, and then future pace them on the questions. What does that look like for you if you don't have a job in 3 more months?
Good. What's going to
Because they're going
happen
to say,
financially?
yeah, because would you rather save what little money you have now, or do you want to go down that rabbit hole and end up with nothing? I mean, what's that going to look like for you? And one of the other things, so we future pace that person, and at least my job, I want to get in front of them, right? I want to just get an appointment, because the more questions I can ask face to face, and I can sell myself on, let me help you, at least I'm the doctor, let me take a look and see how bad your wound is, and can I get your permission to be honest with you? If I think we can save the leg, let's save the leg. If we can't, then let's cut it off the
Right.
best place possible.
So what you're
So
saying is you sound confident and you sound like you're going to help me. You're not really overselling me at all.
yeah,
You're
because
here to save me.
yeah, at the point, I don't even know if I can help you. And the thing about it is that if I can help you, then maybe you stay in your home and just do me a favor and just can I stay in touch with you, and can you refer people to me? Because because my goodness, if you really help someone, don't you think they're going to be grateful? They're going to be your
Yeah.
biggest fan. One of the things that we talked about yesterday, and I just want to go over numbers,
Sure.
2.9 million mortgages are in forbearance. 2.9 million, 5.5% of all mortgages in the United States. And this came from the mortgage. I actually belong, since I was an REO agent, Mortgage Professionals of America.
Right.
So this is the people. 7.6% of all of those mortgages are FHA, USDA, and VA mortgages. And
So 7.6% of the what number?
out of the 2.9 million mortgages in forbearance, roughly almost 8% are FHA and VA mortgages.
Interesting. So take that information now. When you see that information, what does that tell you?
Well, so I'm not an advocate of forbearance. So
Define that, because
forbearance,
I think people have to understand, because
yes.
forbearance, define what that is for them.
Yes, so forbearance, and the reason why I'm not an advocate, Bill, is because I remember I knocked on people's doors when the bank took it. So I heard their story about, oh, they let me not pay for 3 months and whatever. And uh, so out of 2,100 homes, and you hear those stories, you pretty have a good idea of
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah.
And forbearance just means, hey, look, we're going to forgive you. You don't have to pay us for 3 months or 6 months, and you're not going to pay the late fees. But after that, you owe me all of it. It's like, wait a minute. So if let's just say for round numbers, your house payment was 2 grand and you didn't pay it for, let's say, 5 months, you're going to be writing a check for 10 grand. Not 2,000, not 3,000. Oh, let me make partial payments. Oh, no, no, no. The lending institutions, at least the last go around, did not want partial payments. They wanted all their money, baby, or
Yeah.
nothing at all.
So read the fine print
This is
on this.
not
Yeah.
adding it on to the end of your mortgage. That's a mortgage modification. This is just, hey, don't pay us. Don't worry about it. We're not going to put a blemish on your credit. But when that's up, I want all my money, all of it.
The money that they don't have, they want all of it now. And
Yep.
then, so if that doesn't happen, now we're going down that other route, right?
Now you are upside down.
Yeah.
And now the ugly starts. The late fees. I mean, once you get behind, unless you win the lottery, you can't make it up. I mean, 2 states, 2,100 homes, and the stories I've heard, I'm telling you, do not take loans out against your credit cards before you do a forbearance.
Well, think about the people that we're prospecting, FSBOs, expires that are out there that are, that may be these people that are out of the job.
Absolutely.
Let's walk through a process of where do we take them? So you call me up. I go, yeah, I'm selling my house, my own. I sold my job. I mean, I'm out of a job. Right now we don't know what's going on. Where are you going to take me? So I'm a FSBO, and then you're going to give me some kind of information that goes, I think I might want to talk to you. So where do we go?
So what I would basically say is, well, first of all, I'm going to ask, what kind of job do you have? Are
Mm-hmm.
you in the service industry? Because here you're working for Disney, right? All right.
Right.
So let's say you work for Disney. You're not going back to work till 2021. So I mean, and those were good jobs. So so you work for Disney. So I would say to you, so what does this look like for you? I mean, I'm not here to sell your home. So let's just take that off the table. But what I'd like to do is actually meet with you. Let's sit down, if you don't mind, and see, I'm a specialist. So let's sit down and see if I can help you. If I can do something. I mean, I have tools, I have lenders, I have not-for-profits. So I'm not here. I don't even want, so can we just agree, Mr. Seller, that we're not going to talk about selling your home when I come over? Because that's not what I'm here for.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
they may just be like, why are you even doing this? You know what? Because you're not going to run across a lot of people that are actually in it just to give you something back.
Right.
And look, you can turn it down, and I'm going to call you in a couple weeks and ask if you need my help then. But what I'd like to do is at least look and see if we can save your home, and how we can actually make the payments, if it's through a grant, if it's through credit card payment. Let's at least run some scenarios, but let's agree not to talk about selling your house.
So let's maybe touch on that, because the reason why you're doing that, you're coming from contribution. You're coming from a point of saying, hey,
Absolutely.
if I can help them, then, maybe something will come back my way. But either way, one of the scripts that I really liked is this one. I'm here to help you make a good decision, right? If the decision is that we have to sell your home, I'll have a plan for that. If the decision is that I can find you a grant or something, or give you some direction on the credit card, let's do that. We talked about this the other day, about this. I know this is going to spark your mind here, about the dream, the American dream. People may be losing the American dream, but we also have to give them the opportunity to dream again.
Exactly.
right? If they lose their home, it's not the end of the world. It is it's a time of your life that you're going to go through. If you're the one helping them through this crisis, who are they going to go back to when they need help to go buy a house again? So
Exactly.
that's the position that you're taking. This is not a bait and switch. This is, I may be able to help them. Now they could refer someone else, and we're in the real estate business. We've got to help some of these people make the right decision. What are some of the wrong decisions these people could make?
So let me tell you from experience, because I saw it. Bury your head in the sand. Don't do anything about it. Keep buying everything on credit instead of maybe using that credit for cash. I mean, I can't tell you, Bill, how many times we've foreclosed on people and they're driving away in their BMW. They have better houses than I do, more stuff in them. Burying your head and waiting for the problem to go away, or thinking you're going to get your job back in 30 days, even if you did, it's going to take you months to catch up. And it's treating people with compassion, because foreclosures for me, are heartbreaking, especially when it's a true homeowner. It's heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to treat somebody with compassion, I'd rather have a short sale or a compromised sale on my credit report than a foreclosure.
Right, right. It's going to take a lot out of real estate people to be able to open up their hearts and open up their skills, because these people are prideful too. They're just not going to give you all this information on your first call either. You've got to come in with some level of knowledge, as you do, and empathy to their situation. So I think this is so important. And it's interesting how real estate agents today don't know a lot of the process, because they skipped that and we passed everything on to a lender, and we don't know how to ask those tough questions because really we don't know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
We got away from that. Remember the old days, you ask all these important questions. So a couple of things people want to know before we hang up, how they can get a hold of you. What's your email address? Send that out there. What is that?
So it's Sandy, SANDY, period, Williams, at EXP, so Elephant X-Ray Paul, EXPRealty.com. So it's sandy.williams@EXPRealty.com.
Yes, and if you can't do it there, look up Sarasota Sandy on
SarasotaSandy.com.
she lives in a great area in Florida. But Sandy, this is great information. And guys, I think we're going to have to understand so much more now than ever. I think there's opportunities that you never had before, but it sounds like we're going to have to do our homework, right, Sandy?
Absolutely. And please do yourself a favor. Do not think that I just don't want you to pay for programs that you may never use. So I'd rather you come to me and ask me some questions. We're going to do some very inexpensive short sale and REO. And I mean, Bill, we all know, and you know me well, REO and short sales made me a very rich woman.
Yeah.
So I am very grateful, rich monetarily and rich experience. I'm grateful.
You came from some really interesting markets. I mean, you came from Minneapolis to Miami, and then you said, I'm getting the heck out of Dodge. I'm moving to the West Coast of Florida. And it's good. So listen, Sandy, thanks so much for being on. I really appreciate it. Guys, I hope you got a lot out of today. Get in touch with Sandy to get some more information. And thanks for being on Espresso Mastery Series. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Hey,
Bye-bye.
thanks. Bye.